probably a little colder. That I told him that are constantly complaining why we should put up on some of these. That's one of those, but I know that you're better than we do. Go forth and explode them and tell me what you need to work on.
He played in Hallelujah in its entirety the other day.
There's no real cold.
That's so good.
That's what I saw. Was
Like my Richmond thing, like
she picks the guy with that idea.
but now his piano teacher also to do.
This is
1 week. She's out of that. Congo church.
I can sit here and complain and say everybody else wants to do so.
Sure. I think
Good part of
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hutchinson City Council meeting for Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. We'll call the meeting to order. Approve the council agenda. Any agenda additions or corrections?
Mayor, Council, I don't have any additions or corrections for you.
so move.
Second. All good.
Moved by Dave, second by Pat to approve the agenda as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll say nay. Motion carries. Invitations, River Church. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the nice weather. I'm sure
Yeah.
that was all you, right?
Right, that was on me. I've been praying for that. Pastor David Blair from the River Church Hutchinson, Mayor, City Council members, everyone, let's pray. Father God, we just thank you right now, Lord, for this, again, this beautiful weather, Lord, that we're having. And Lord, we just thank you tonight that as we gather together here, Lord, that you give us wisdom, each one of the council members and every person here that's involved, anyone that's speaking tonight, Lord, we thank you for giving them direction and wisdom. Lord, we thank you for your hand of protection upon the city, Lord, upon the first responders, Lord, the police and the fire and everyone that's involved. Lord, we just thank you for your direction right now. And we just give you all the thanks, Lord, and all the praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recognition of gifts, donations, and community service to the city. Does anybody have anything tonight? All right, we do have a resolution underneath there. Resolution number 15704, resolution accepting $500 donation from Steve Cook and Kay Nelson to sponsor the 2024 Sculpture Stroll Judges Award within the Public Arts Program.
Make a motion to accept that donation.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Tim to accept that donation. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Public comment, citizens addressing the council, just please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Rachel Wanis, 56479 County Road 11, Stewart, Minnesota. I'm just here, my fellow massage therapist and I, she is on the agenda, but I am not. So I'm just curious as to why my license isn't on the agenda. I had called earlier but didn't receive.
If I remember right, Rachel, you had worked with Stephanie and said you were just moving from one location to another.
Yep.
So that was just gonna be done administratively with your.
Okay, I hadn't received a phone call or any info about that, and we've already missed a week and a half, so I'm important that I get back to work. So all is good? Okay, thank you.
Please come forward, please.
She's just curious because of the new address.
Sure.
It'll be at the new place.
Wherever you indicated the new address, yeah.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, moving forward, approval of minutes. We have the regular meeting minutes of February 27th, 2024. The strategic planning session of February 27th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Dave to approve those minutes. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, next is the consent agenda. This will be done with one motion unless somebody pulls something off for discussion. A is consideration for approval issuing massage license to Virginia Brizzy and Gingerly Healing Massage and Reiki located at 101 Main Street South, Suite 104. B is approval issuing short-term gambling license to the Crow River Cutters on March 23rd, 2024 at the Hutchinson Elks Lodge. C is approval of resolution number 15727. I'm sorry. We'll start that again. Resolution number 15702. Resolution transferring funds to the 2023 Construction Fund, General Fund, and Capital Project Fund. D is approval of resolution number 15703. Resolution transferring from the Community Improvement Fund to the Police Facility Construction Fund. E is approval of resolution number 15706, resolution to sell at auction surplus property. That's the Parks Department. F is approval of resolution number 15708, resolution creating vegetation management specialist position and amending the 2024 position classification table. G is approval of resolution number 15709, resolution authorizing an interfund loan for the advance of certain costs in connection to the TIF district number 4-23. H is approval of plat correction for Thibault Northview addition. I is approval of purchasing tandem truck on auction. J is approval of squad car purchase. K is a claims appropriation and contract payments register A. Is there anything anybody wants pulled off?
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Dave to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Consent agenda 2, claims appropriation, contract payments, register B. My son has a check on there for his business, so I'll be abstaining.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to approve with me abstaining. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries.
You got 20 minutes, Mayor. So.
All right, let's skip down to Public Arts Commission, 2024-25 Sculpture Stroll.
Oh, that's on there.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Public Arts Commission this evening. Oh, not the one I needed. Here we go. The Public Arts Commission met on Wednesday, February 21st and reviewed all the submissions and then also selected the 2024 to 2025 Hutchinson Sculpture Stroll. There were a total of 41 submissions by 20 different artists, which was a really good amount for the Sculpture Stroll. And then they reviewed and selected the 11 rotating pieces that will be featured around Hutchinson. On the screen here lists the locations and pictures of the sculptures that were selected. Just note that these are all pictures of the sculptures in different strolls or in the artist's location. But noted up there is where they will be featured within the stroll. The artist will work with park staff here in May to remove the old sculptures and then install the new ones. You'll start to see them featured on their current locations around Hutchinson. There were 2 additional sculptures that were selected, one by Citizens Bank and the other one by Ridgewater College. I don't have them featured up here. When I submitted the council packet, they weren't selected at that time. They have been selected and all of the sculptures have been confirmed. So no actions needed, just more of an FYI so you can see what they look like, and for the public to note that the new ones will be coming in May of this year. Any questions?
Pat, you were saying that it was kind of interesting on how many there were, right?
Yeah, every year you kind of get in a panic because invites, Justin sends them out early, and probably a month ago we got like 9, and then the artists flood them in at the end. So 41 was great. It was a little scary for some of us.
And we did have an interesting year this year, and I don't think it's ever happened, where 3 of the sculptures that we had originally selected at the selection meeting were already spoken for in other strolls, so we had to go back and kind of reevaluate those 3 and pick 3 different ones. So I don't think that's ever happened. We've had maybe 1 that's been already selected, but to have 3 was very interesting.
So artists submit them to numerous different communities that do this, and we vote, and sometimes other communities' votes get there before ours, and so back to the drawing board. Emails.
I will note the one located at Riverside Park was created by Hutchinson High School students. So it's the tree-looking one up there, second one to the left at the top. That one was created by Hutchinson welding students and submitted from the high school. So it's kind of a unique thing that the welding class at Hutchinson High School did, and they will be featured in the stroll. Thank you.
Yeah. Chief Gifferson, the police department year-end report.
Just a quick second here.
Chief, you're not going through the updated new manual, are you?
No.
For those who don't know, it's like a 600-page book of code.
That's next meeting.
Yeah, oh,
Line by
yeah.
line.
On vacation, fine.
Tests will follow.
We'll do a workshop and make sure you're available, Pat. All right, well, thank you, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to present our 2023 year-end report for the police department. I'm not going to go through my actual report. I kind of took some of the highlights, put some stuff in here that isn't in the report, but for maybe further clarifies a few things in there. So you guys feel free to ask any questions as we go along too. Otherwise, there'll be time for questions at the end if there are any. So our staff. At the end of 2023, we had 42 staff members. Of that, 23 were full-time sworn officers and 2 part-time sworn officers. Our support professionals totaled 6, and then we had 10 hospital security employees. As you're aware, we no longer have those employees because the hospital decided to go in a different direction from there. Our fleet. So we have 8 marked squad cars, 4 administrative squad cars, 2 special use vehicles, and a utility trailer. Our utility trailer's been on the capital improvement budget for probably 10 years, but it continues to work as it should. So we just keep kicking it down the road a little bit further. But 8 marked squad cars. You approved 2 new squad cars on tonight's consent agenda. Those are not getting any less expensive, and the setup that goes along with them. So we do what we can to preserve them as long as we can, but ultimately most of them are running 24/7, and they just get beat down after a while. So, and then we do have 4 administrative squad cars for our plainclothes individuals, and then also the squad car that I drive is part of that. Calls for service. So we have listed 15,331 calls for service in 2023. That may seem like an awful lot, but when you break it down by 365, it's between 42 and 43 calls a day, which still may seem a lot, and we are busy. But the way we figure out our calls for service, not just people that call in and say, hey, I need an officer to come to my house, or I need to meet with an officer regarding this. It's probably should be called more incidents, because it's every time we do something, it's considered a call or an incident. So there's 15,331 incidents that are generated in 2023. That was a slight decline from 2022. Our busiest time frame from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. 2023, for whatever reason, that changed a little bit and got a little bit wider. Maybe people are getting up earlier, I'm not sure, or criminals are getting up earlier, maybe, I'm not sure, but 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is our peak time. Busiest month is May, but overall, the summer time frame is pretty much our busy time of the year. And then, as you would expect, Friday is the busiest day of the week for us, but you wouldn't think Monday would be, but Monday is also one of our busier days. Crime statistics. A couple years ago, the state of Minnesota went to NIBRS, the National Incident-Based Reporting System, rather than the old federal way of doing things. And when they did that, they established a Group A crimes and Group B crimes. Group B crimes, we only count arrests, so we don't track how many times, or at least NIBRS doesn't track how many times a call came in where an arrest wasn't made if it's a Group B crime. But Group A, there's 24 crime categories. The layman's term is those are the more serious crimes. I guess if you're a victim of crime, any crime is serious, but those would be the crimes against persons and that type of thing. So in 2023, 499 Group A crimes, and of those 499, we made 218 arrests. Group B, we made 101 arrests. Some of the most frequent crimes that are occurring in Hutchinson: damage to property, theft, and then assaults. I put the drug-controlled substance offenses up there. I mean, we don't have the most crime regarding just drug arrests, but they affect all of those other three. Drug-addicted people are stealing. There's assaults that happen because of drug behavior, that type of thing. So although it's not in the top three, there's a direct correlation to the other three. So that's what I was trying to say. Arrests, 421 total arrests in 2023, and 319 Group A and B arrests. So you may ask, well, if there's 319 Group A and B arrests, how can there be more 421 than the 319? The 421 also represents arrests or warrant arrests, that type of thing. If someone fails to appear in court on an original crime and then we encounter them and arrest them, that's an arrest, obviously, but it isn't counted as a Group A or a Group B. Citations issued total by the department last year, 622. That is down a little bit. That's going to be one of our internal goals for this year, is a little bit more traffic enforcement proactivity. So I intend to see that increase for next year's report. Also, verbal warnings, 1,353. We have officers that have well over 600 traffic stops in a year. And then we have some officers that don't have that many, and those are the ones that we're going to try to improve on a little bit. 232 vehicle crashes in 2023. The good thing is only 9 of those were personal injury crashes, and actually when we were pulling the statistics out for the report, I was pretty surprised by that. And I think there's several reasons for that, but I think probably more so than anything is just or the safety of vehicles now, you know, with the airbags and that type of thing. People just aren't being injured, especially in the city. They're not being injured nearly as drastically as they would have been in the past. Calls for service at the school. As you're aware, we do have a school resource officer. In 2023, we had a little bit of a hiatus with our school resource officer, but she's back at the school. And actually it was only for about the first month of the school year where she was absent. So these numbers may be down just a little bit, but not too much. So 258 calls for service, 119 of those were at the high school. The middle school was 58, Park 47, Tiger 29, and West 5. Yeah, I would expect, I think if the public's looking at this report and I think they would be surprised at how many calls we have at some of the elementary schools. That's not always necessarily student driven, but there's also other people that come on campus, and it's also truancy calls and that type of thing as well. So, child protection. Last year we made a little bit of a change on how we do things internally. We still investigate all of our own child protection crimes, or calls I should say, but we no longer have a specific investigator assigned to child protection. We now have made our 2 investigators, they split those duties evenly. But in 2023 we had 311 child protection intakes. And what an intake would be is if a mandated reporter or someone from the public would just report an incident that they thought needed attention, they would either bring that to social services or us. Regardless of how it comes in, if it comes to us or it comes to social services, it always goes through social services and then comes back to us. The majority of those are for abuse, and that the abuse would either be neglect or physical abuse. And I don't have the exact number on, the breakdown for that, but just the majority are for abuse. Our drug task force, Hutchinson belongs to the Southwest Metro Drug Task Force, and we do have an agent that's a part of that task force. Their final report is not completed yet, so I don't have too many figures from that. However, I think last year when I came to you, I told you that there were real slim pickings, so to speak, for the agents, and now this year they're fully staffed, and we actually are bringing more cities onto the task force out of Scott County and Carver County. Common drugs investigated, we still methamphetamine in the area is still number 1. Obviously marijuana is no longer an issue unless there's an extensive grow or someone selling it right now, because they shouldn't be. And then just synthetic opioids is probably the big one that's reared its ugly head, and that's mostly in the form of fentanyl right now. And again, when I say we, but all law enforcement professionals in the state of Minnesota now are statutorily required to carry that counteractant to overdose. So we have all of that in our squad cars. And numerous times over the course of the year, when Chief Schumann was up here talking about saves and that type of thing, I can't count the many times that we've used that. And the nice thing about it is it's harmless if it's not needed. So when in doubt, you just give the medication, and you'll know if it was effective, because they wake up almost instantly with no symptoms. It's just remarkable. But I think that's it about that. Hospital security, as I mentioned earlier, 2023 proved to be the last year of this partnership with the hospital, not through anything that we did, just other than not having health partner badge and patch on our shoulder is about the only thing that we could have done differently. So, but we did have 1,039 calls for service at the hospital last year. And again, just probably for the public, because I know you guys know, but we did staff the hospital. They were non-sworn personnel. And then, so when we got rid of the program, we had to lay off those employees. Citizens Police Academy was reintroduced to the public in 2022. Our class sizes have been a little bit small. In 2023, we started in November, and just because we had a lot of things going on at the beginning of 2023, and then finished in 2024, we graduated 7 participants in the program. So we'd like to see that grow. We're going to continue to offer it. And for the public, if they don't know, it just gives a quick snapshot to look inside the Hutchinson Police Department. Usually lasts 6 or 7 weeks, and once a week, come in and listen to officers basically tell what they do. So 2023 goals, one was the completion of the construction on our new PD and subsequent move. That, I'm happy to say, is completed for the most part. I think we were just finishing up some punch list items today still, but Andy will be happy to hear that I think he will be seeing a final bill here real soon. Also, implementation of Lexipol policy and procedure project. That's what you had mentioned earlier, 600 plus pages of policy. But it was a great program for the Hutch PD to get into because it really protects us and mitigates liability as we do our job every day. And then update the City of Hutchinson Emergency Operations Plan, which has been done. You approved that a couple meetings ago. And then also implement new Axon and Taser equipment. As you're probably aware, we're on a 5-year lease with all of our equipment like that. So every 5 years, we have to not necessarily start over, but we got to bring everything new in, retrain on the new equipment, that type of thing. So it was a pretty busy year, a big year of change anyway for the Hutch PD, and a lot of new equipment to learn, obviously a new building to learn, but we got through it. 2024 goals, explore and implement virtual training platform for the PD. And really, it's just virtual reality goggles, but you're able to put the officer in scenarios and train them to respond appropriately. It's more real-world training than we've ever been exposed to. So currently, we're in the process of just looking into those platforms and trying to pick one that we would like to go with. Also, other goal would be to train staff in crisis intervention training. The Minnesota legislature kind of not necessarily forced this one on us, but certainly encouraged in their last session to better train officers in dealing with people that are in crisis. And so it's our goal for the department, hopefully at least get the majority of the officers through a 1-week crisis intervention training. And then research the need for an additional supervision at the patrol level, with the addition of maybe a 5th patrol sergeant as a possible outcome. I heard from City Administrator Yannick during negotiations at patrol that they felt there may be some lack of supervision in the early evening or early morning hours, and it's not something that we've known about, and I don't know that we can necessarily justify another sergeant at this point, but that's something that we're going to look into, and hopefully I'll be able to come to you sometime later in the year with our findings and make a decision at that time. And then implementing the city's operation plan, or emergency operations plan, follow up with an initial online training that I've already talked to the staff about, and then hopefully plan for a tabletop exercise that would include all of you as well, sometime in the fall, if we can get it arranged. All that being said, I think I finished before 6 o'clock. Any questions?
Just for the public, those who may be watching on TV, there is a full report in our council packet, and I usually post that on your
Yep.
Say too, once that's done, and so that goes in a little bit more detail on the numbers that the chief's shown, but I'm just encourage the public, if you want to know more about the year-end report, just to take a look at the police department's website. So.
No question.
No questions. Did a good job, chief.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's 6 o'clock here.
Yeah.
So.
We do have a public hearing. We'll get back up there. Ekman public hearing for regarding the refinancing of conduit debt issued by the city of Bethel.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So yes, tonight we have a request from the owners of the Oaks and Pines here within Hutchinson. They want to refinance the bonds on, not only on the facilities here in Hutchinson, but some other facilities in Owatonna and St. Peter as well. So the owner of the Oaks is Second Century Housing. The owner of the Pines is Pines of Hutchinson LLC. Both entities are nonprofit corporations, and they financed the two Hutchinson locations in the past with tax-exempt conduit revenue notes. So state statute allows cities essentially to extend our bonding authority to nonprofits. And when we do that, and Hutchinson isn't the bonding issuer in this instance, but when cities do issue those conduit bonds, it's important to note that it's the nonprofit who's responsible for repaying the debt, not the city. So even though we're involved in this situation, there's no impact to the city's debt levels. We have no responsibility whatsoever to repay the debt. So that's an important factor to note. The city of Bethel is actually the one who will be issuing these conduit bonds. The estimated principal amount is not to exceed $25 million, with about $7.8 million of that planned to be spent on the Oaks and Pines here. Various capital improvements to the Oaks and Pines. So tonight, we do have a representative here from the law firm who is working with the owners on this refinancing. But for tonight, what we're asking council is to provide host city approval. So you're basically approving of this refinancing. Even though we're not directly involved in issuing the bonds, you're approving it on behalf of the two facilities here in town. And essentially what you're saying is that this financing or refinancing is in the best interest of the city. And then also what they're asking for is the council to execute a cooperative agreement. And that agreement is essentially among all the cities who are participating in this bond offering. So between Bethel, Hutchinson, Owatonna, and St. Peter, I believe, and maybe Libby Cantner is the one I mentioned. She's here with us tonight. Maybe she can speak a little bit further too. So that's all I had. I know it's not a whole lot, so I'll open it up to any questions you may have, and then also if you have any questions of Libby.
Mayor and Council, this is it's a conduit that's obviously authorized by state statute. We've probably done this 2 or 3 times.
Refinancing with the Oaks and Pines, yeah, probably our 3rd time. But then we've also been the issuer with Prince of Peace twice.
Yeah.
And then I believe, I thought maybe Augusta Homes, probably not. But Prince of Peace is our most recent.
Yeah. So it's more or less a mechanism that's allowed, as Andy noted, for nonprofits, but there's not really a whole lot of risk to the city. There's just some actions that we need to take.
Right.
So.
Any questions for Andy?
We have no monetary responsibility for this. Is there liability issues?
It won't complicate any of our bonding that we do later in the year. It's essentially a mechanism that gives the nonprofits a lower interest rate, being tax exempt.
Any other questions? All right, we'll open it up for public comment.
Motion to approve.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was slow, sorry. I'm the guy that tries to get these done fast, sorry.
I'll be brief. So my name is Brett Anderson, Mayor. Council members represent Ecumen, the supporting nonprofit for both the Oaks and Pines. Just want to thank you tonight for your consideration and approval of this. We're really proud to be a part of the community, proud to be a part of the community moving forward with this and make some enhancements. And I'll just turn it over to our local leader here quick to introduce herself, since that's who you really want to hear from, who lives in town. Not from me, but just on behalf of Ecumen, the organization, wanted to come and say thank you for allowing us to continue to be a part of your community now and into the future. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for allowing us to be here tonight. I appreciate your time. I'm Jen Rutledge. I'm the Executive Director at Oaks and Pines. I've been at Oaks and Pines now for about a year. And so it's been fabulous to be a part of this community. Ecumen's been serving, Oaks and Pines has been serving this community for the last 24 years. And, we serve approximately 150 residents annually. We have over 75 team members. And in addition, we're serving with our local home care and hospice as well. Obviously the Oaks and Pines you're all familiar with, and, we are located near parks, wildlife, walking trails, all while being close to the heart of the city. And our residents truly enjoy the shopping, the restaurants, the entertainment, everything that they're a part of here in the city of Hutchinson. So the Oaks was constructed in 2000 and is located at the 945 Century Avenue Southwest. We have 32 assisted living units with 9 secured memory care apartments as well. And the Pines, which is located across the parking lot, is at 1015 Century Avenue. And we've got 50 units for independent and assisted living in that building. So each unit has full kitchen, living room, bedroom, private bathrooms, several different floor plans from 1 bedrooms to 2 bedroom, 2 baths, spacious common areas, robust activity calendar, on-site therapy, salon services, 3 home-cooked meals a day. We have staff on site 24/7. We have an emergency call pendant system that our residents are able to use to reach us. We're also able to offer rounding physician on site, audiology on site for our residents, so they don't have to go out in the wintertime. Granted, this year was a different scenario. We really offer individualized care for our residents, including memory care services. Our residents can come to us completely independent, and hopefully we're going to be able to care for them and help them through all stages, of aging. So really, we're obviously wanting to secure refinancing for capital improvements. Our buildings, 2000 and 2005, we just really want to be able to enhance the facility operations and services for our residents. With possible capital improvements for both facilities, including hundreds of thousands of dollars in improvements and investments to both communities at the Oaks and Pines. We have re-sided recently in the last couple of years, but we hope to continue all of those improvements with this refinance. So between the safety enhancements in the parking lot, outdoor walking spaces for our residents, several mechanical improvements, also really focusing on the infrastructure, security, and resident comforts. So, the refinancing is just really reaffirming Ecumen's commitment to our residents, to the city of, Hutchinson, by just really providing high quality, compassionate care for our residents. So we would appreciate your support of the city council for, refinancing the process to benefit our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
So are you guys full? Vacancy-wise?
We are fully reserved, yes.
Okay.
So, yes, we do have, our last move-ins will be at the end of the month.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think we've had some discussion on housing, so I'm just interested, and everything that have shown us those types of buildings are full, but it's,
Yeah.
figure here, so I figured we'd
Absolutely.
ask, so.
If you guys have any questions, I'm here.
Well, it'd be nice if you build another building in Hutchinson.
Or two.
Or two, for sure. I'm absolutely
In
open
fact, the
to, I'm open to
approval
that.
actually might, no.
If you could do that on your to-do list, that'd be
I'll get
great.
it on my list for sure, for sure.
Sounds good.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Nope, we gotta close the
Oh,
public.
I'm sorry. Geez, I'm just jumping the gun all the time. Motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Motion by Pat, second by Chad to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Both say nay. Motion carries. All right, then we do have a resolution underneath there, resolution number 15705, resolution consent to approving the issuance by the city of Bethel of revenue obligations to finance and refinance a project located in the city of Hutchinson, taking other actions with respect thereto. Okay, now Pat.
Motion to approve resolution 15705.
I'll second.
Motion by Pat, second by Tim to approve that resolution. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And yeah, we're serious about trying to build another one. That'd be great. All right, moving on. We don't have any unfinished business. Under new business, fire department roof replacement. Good evening, JJ.
Good evening. Mr. Mayor and Council. This evening, we're, on behalf of the Facility Committee, we're seeking your approval to proceed with replacement of the fire department roof. The current roof is 20-plus years old and showing some signs of disrepair. We sought out 3 qualified contractors to provide quotes, which Laraway Roofing has received or provided the lowest bid at $121.10. We intend to go with a TPO roof system along with some additional insulation to meet the current R30 code. So this project has been on the CIP budget slated for this year. So with your approval, we ask to proceed.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to approve the roofing for the fire station. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Both say nay. Motion carries. Updating to exhibit of employees' uniform and clothing policy.
Evening, Mayor and Council. So this is a short one. The employee uniform and clothing policy doesn't need to be changed, just the exhibit. We added the police officers to category number 2. During negotiations this year, there was conversation about a couple different pieces of the uniform that are required, but are not provided by the department because they can be worn outside of work. So the IRS says those need to be taxable. So we're going to add them to the list, Exhibit A, so they're on category number 2. Any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Tim to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Both say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Setting public hearing to issue general obligation street reconstruction bonds.
Yeah, our typical bonding process, I think you all know, is using the statute 429, which is special assessment improvement bonds. And unfortunately, with that statute, we didn't have enough assessment levels this year to generate enough bonding proceeds to cover our construction costs. So now we have to look at statute 475, street reconstruction bonds. And it's similar to 429 in a way that it avoids a referendum. in a roundabout way. So with 475, we have to have a public hearing, which will, if you approve tonight, that'll be at our next meeting. And then we'll present the bonding at that public hearing. We'll speak a little bit about the projects. But then after that public hearing, there's a 30-day reverse referendum period where people can petition the council. I think it has to be 5% of the last general election, I don't recall. But they could actually petition to put it on a referendum and vote for it. So that's the only, one of the big differences between our typical 429 bonding process and 475. We actually did this with the police facility when we issued those bonds, and no one came forward with a reverse or with a petition. And I think we also used it for one other road, I think First Avenue improvements there by the PD as well. So we've used it in the past. We like to use 429 just because we're used to that process and it works well. But so that's why we're here tonight requesting that public hearing for the next meeting.
I'll say a lot of times this comes into play when we've got a lot of public land that's adjacent to a street that you're not assessing yourself for, obviously, and so.
I think we did it last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we've done it, like I said, we've done it in the past, it's not unusual. I mean, our preference is the 429, but 475 is another alternate for us. So.
Motion to approve setting a public hearing for general obligation street reconstruction bonds.
Second. Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve that public hearing. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Resolution number 15707, resolution supporting SCADA closeout budget adjustment.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I wanted to take just a couple of minutes, and Tim may be available to answer some questions also as he was closely involved in this project, but he has another meeting to get off to here shortly. Beyond the information in your packet, I wanted to take just a few minutes to, again, kind of go through the numbers, make sure those are clear. Again, we're very accustomed to asking for resources, but typically we're on budget or in budget, and this is an exception to that. Again, a very successful project, but one that came in over budget. So going through these numbers real quickly, hopefully they made sense. This line right here, this programming budget line, is the one that was really the one that was in question. You'll see again what we were expecting per the agreement. The actual was this line. What we negotiated short of this was basically this actual line, 446, minus the agreement. And then we did discuss the potential for half of this. This control narratives was potentially a deduct as these other items were. But you add this number along with the difference and it came to this 98,574. So this is what we're asking for your consideration tonight. Basically, I would say we have two options, although there could be variations of the staff recommendation portion. The obvious one is do nothing. You know, we are 15% over budget. The contract terms weren't followed. It was rather clear in the contract that they were to seek approval before proceeding in that regard. And I will say, and it's kind of in the second column itself, while they did notify us before they went over budget, April-May timeframe, we were told that we were approaching budget at that point. So it wasn't that they kept going or kept us in the dark, but it took 4+ months before we really got a tangible number to react to. And at that point, we were nearing that 100,000 mark. Again, to finish out the project, which we did here just recently with the final punch list items, hence why we're hoping to close it out, is that we were closer to that $200,000 mark. So again, in the end, for the staff recommendation, you know, notification, yes, given. Didn't receive anything by way of official numbers until very recent. Might have expected, and I note, you know, the might have been expected to, that we would have paid more had the contract terms been followed. You know, it's very possible they would have come to us with a change order, you know, at various intervals. We likely would have proceeded or asked them to proceed because it was been very difficult to stop kind of mid or late in the project. And the other thing is it's an ongoing working relationship. This is a vendor that we have, and again, not that we maybe wouldn't have given consideration to stepping away or seeking another vendor. You know, overall, the project's been very successful. We're very happy with it, and they've got great context after a couple of years now working with both plants, water and wastewater. So it's a relationship that we value. But again, I'm certainly mindful also of the amount that we're asking for consideration. So with that and beyond the information in the packet, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mike, can you maybe explain for both the council and the public, because I know it's not the easiest thing, what SCADA is, what the purpose of that system is in our plants and the benefit I guess it provides to not only staff, but probably even the public too, to a certain extent. So.
Yeah, it really a controls automation project. We've had a SCADA system in place for years in both plants. You know, something that allows, again, for on-call staff, remote access to, but really kind of the day-to-day controls that you can do for the plant itself. A lot of the upgrades provided additional spots throughout both plants to be able to do, you know, adjustments and things also. But automation, building controls is basically how I would describe it.
I guess you answered my only question I had for you is was the project really, or are you guys really happy with the outcome?
Tim, I'll let you. Yeah.
It was very necessary, so we're happy with the product we got, and we do have a lot of enhancements over the last product. So it was a big undertaking and really difficult to put a number to ahead of time. I can't imagine the thought going into guesstimating what the effort would have been in the beginning, a year and a half ago.
So Tim, will this take us out a few years? Will there be updates, or what do you think the system will last us?
Yeah, hopefully as long as I don't want to go through it again.
Don't say as long as I'm around, because you'll say I'm retiring next year.
No, this was a huge one. Not only did we switch SCADA systems, which was the software program that handled and displayed every piece of automation, but we changed all the hardware. Every piece of electronic hardware that was controlling all the equipment in the plant and the water plant got switched out. So it got updated to a more user-friendly, more accepted platform. So now in the future, if there are updated, this PLC logic controller goes out of date or is not supported anymore, the manufacturer has another one that just basically plugs in place, it's enhanced, and it's a lot better received.
Now, towards the end of the life of our previous one, we were having issues with it just not working, and
it was very proprietary. So once they stopped supporting it, then nobody was making any more product of it, and it was hard to get those.
No, there was a couple weeks there where I don't think any of I think you guys were getting phone calls almost on the hour because of the system was out of date.
Yeah,
so.
Yep, exactly. So there's a lot more reliability, and we all can sleep a little better because we're on the new system.
I guess I'll ask where does the budget money come from this then?
The budget will come from the water and wastewater capital improvement
funds.
From the capital improvement funds?
Yep.
So it went how far over, Mike? 200?
200 overall. The number we're recommending though was the 98,754, 574.
And that comes from
it's 90
the wastewater.
Water and wastewater.
Or water and
the whole project was split about 35, 65, 65% out of wastewater funds, 35% out of water.
I think, like you said, you can't. This stinks. You never want to go over, but you also can't stop halfway through and go, we're going a different direction.
There was a little angst in the way that the overage happened, but all in all, I think, like Mike said, if they'd have followed procedure, we'd have been on the bill for, we'd have to pay the $200,000. It's just enormous effort.
Keep in mind too, and the vendor did provide the letter from Anthony Pittman was the project manager, and they acknowledge, doing nothing, paying nothing is a distinct possibility because the contract terms weren't honored in that regard. So if that's a decision, we can live with that, and we'll pass that on and process out accordingly. So, but given the ongoing relationship and other factors we've discussed and shared in the packet, we felt we came up with, kind of an in-between, a solution maybe that keeps us going along with the relationship.
Mike and Tim, do we feel that 98,000, we received that value in the project?
I think so, but again, Tim and Eric really are, along with their staffs, having to work with daily.
Yeah, I think the agreed upon compromise is a good number for what we had to deal with in going back and forth on this. Like I said, they are the engineering firm that we use on most of our water wastewater projects. So, there is a bit of a relationship there. Not that can't be done by somebody else, but we think there's value and the knowledge of their plants and stuff like that going forward.
So going forward, are we putting things in place so this doesn't happen again?
Yep, it was strongly urged, we highlight the verbiage there that this is the stop,
Tim,
the stop amount.
Tim, I think that's my frustration, is that it's, like I said, it was in the contract. I mean, I know the conversation that Mike and I had.
You could just tell them to fly kite.
Yes, I mean, it was clearly stated that they're supposed to come and get approval, prior to doing any of that work. And so that's the part in my mind that's a little frustrating, was that. But then when you also look at the technology that's involved,
Was this more of a supply chain with the?
There was some supply chain that factored into it. We couldn't get some components, and we did have to buy some at added expense. How much of that factored in, it wasn't a whole lot, but we did get, when the ones we ordered came in, we got those as spares. They were things that we could use as spare components, so they didn't go, unused. But like I said, that's very true, and that they had language in front of them. They said they were approaching the limit, and then we continued, staff and I continued through emails and correspondence asking for a number, and it just, they wanted to get so specific, but we said just give us a number that we can come to council with and ask for, the approval.
So what is the staff recommending? Let's get
the 98.
The 98.
Yeah, that's what it's asking for down here.
I just want to clarify that.
Yep, and Tim, that's laid out in that resolution too. That's in front of you for the recommendation.
Yeah, I've seen that. I just want to get a reiteration of that.
Yeah.
That's the recommendation.
Yes, it is.
Because I don't want to destroy a relationship with.
Well, somebody that knows the system too. I mean, I'm sure when you call them up and say they know the system in and out, so that's some value there too.
I agree with Matt in the fact, 100,000 is nothing to sniff at. I mean, or sneeze at. The fact that they were on site and didn't come to you, Tim, because whoever was the project manager out there knew they were spending more than what they. That's the sad part. Even if you do have the relationship, the fact that they couldn't come forward and say, "Hey, Tim, this is what this is going to cost."
Well, I think about, we had our $15 million police station project. I mean, and this was what, 5 million, 6 million?
Yeah.
Which is, so it's, I mean, when you're looking at 100,000 on a $5 million project, that's not a significant.
Yeah, this was.
The 1 point, okay, this portion.
It was budgeted at 1.9, the total project.
But, I think about the police station, the amount of change orders that I was getting on a monthly basis where, some of it was $20 here and $50 here and 300. I mean, but that was all done in advance and, done by the people that knew.
Yeah, that's my only, that part bothers me. They weren't upfront with you.
They knew they were going over, they just weren't giving us a figure, you know, and so we knew they were creeping over. But they should have came ahead of us, ahead to us and say, it's gonna be about this much, you know, do a change order for that much or get approval for that much, and, you know, if it played out that that ended up being a little more, then come again.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we explained to them.
We've been in a learning process in a sense too.
Oh, like you say, electronics from 2020 on, you know, has just been crazy, so, that world is something in itself.
Looking for a motion.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dave, second by Pat to approve resolution number 15707. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, governance, we have the library board minutes from January 22nd, 2024. The Parks Recreation Community Education Board minutes from February 5th, 2024. Chief Chairperson, you have anything else for us? Tim, you got anything else for us?
No, I gotta take up, thank you.
Yep. Kelly, you got anything for us? Andy?
Oh, I'll have some forms for you to sign for Hutchinson.
Okay. Mike, as long as you're still there, you must have something else, don't you?
No, I tell you, it's been such a great winter. We are starting to, I won't take credit again for the no snow, leave that for the ministry, but we are starting to street sweep. We started that last week, so we're already in week 2 of it. The weather's been very favorable. So again, that's 6 weeks, full 6 weeks ahead of schedule. Last year it was almost late April before we brought the sweeper out.
Potholes?
No, and I tell you, potholes, you'd have to go looking for them this year. Last year you could have stepped out your door and found them. We're fortunate. We are again hoping to put some of that effort this year into some trail maintenance projects rather than patching. We'll have some in limited, but again, not near what we had last year. You know, as John reported earlier this fall, it was a record year for patching, and it almost looks like it'll be the other extreme this year with that less amount. So
I did see they've been doing a lot of tree trimming too.
A great amount of tree trimming. We've again, probably almost again as far as we had hoped to have been. We had some breakdowning equipment this week, so we're moving on to some other efforts, really focusing on some ash tree removals. Again, with emerald ash borer kind of lurking as we reported again last fall. We're hoping to stay proactive on it, so we're doing some removals to utilize the staff time in that. So, but we'll work a couple of more weeks on trees before the leaf bud. Some cooler weather next week will probably slow that some, but yeah, we're making great use of the time in the meantime.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, Mike, I don't know if you need to put a plug in. I want to put a plug in. We did that mailing out earlier this winter for service lines, for checking on getting the lead out. I don't know what we've had for response on that.
You know, a good response, although we have over 1,300 or right around 1,300, which is fantastic, and they come in daily. A couple things on that front. We met with local contractors a few weeks ago. They're helping the effort. That usually results in a couple dozen a week that come in. Our building inspection staff, Dave Hultquist in particular, has been great. He contributes a couple dozen staff as they're going out. We have a big water meter project. Actually, the next meeting will be seeking approval for the buying of the meters, but we're hoping to again work with a local firm to do about 1,000 meters this year. That will also include an inspection part of it to add 1,000 more. But when we have almost 5,500 to get to, we've got a ways to go. But 1,300 is a very good start. So, and we'll continue to work a lot of different angles. As was shared at a conference this year, it takes about 18 points of contact to get a survey conducted, and we're probably at about 5. So we have a few more things to try. Again, appreciate Janine in the paper and doing coverage. And John Paulson's working on his spring mailer. we'll include a little blip in that too. So we'll just keep working it from a variety of different ways.
As long as you're still there,
Yeah.
why don't you give us an update on the FBO at the
Yeah, on
airport?
FBO, we have someone that has submitted a letter of intent, and we've adjusted our timeline a couple of different times. Again, this is the fixed base operator for the airport. So working with the airport manager, who now is Donovan, as he's moved into that role in place of John Olson. And so applications will be due. We've extended the deadline. Yet again, deadline now is Friday, April 5th. And so at that point, if we have the one or multiple, we'll do an evaluation, working with airport commission members and others, and hopefully have a selection. We quite possibly could still hit our June 1st transition also. So that's the goal.
So fixed base operator, what actually they do, they kind of take care of the airport, take care of the fuel. Some of them offer maintenance for, planes that are coming in and out if they have
Airport amenities, yeah, flight instruction, possibly maintenance services, rental, airplane rentals, a variety of different services that possibly there's some base services expected and then some add-ons that would help if we had multiple applicants.
Do we have any applicants yet, did you say?
No, we have not had, actually, December 1st was the deadline, we've had a couple companies that have been interested back and forth, but nothing that had submitted despite two previous extensions. This third one we do hope yields, this one looks quite promising, so we're expecting one here by the April 5th deadline.
Right now, the flight training and maintenance and stuff's pretty volatile right now. So that's probably, the guy that was looking at coming down actually has a place up in Cloquet. And he had flight training and stuff and maintenance, but he was gonna, I guess the flight training and stuff's kind of on the downward now, so he declined to put a bid in.
Yeah, the business venture, given the decline, some airline layoffs, not a good time to probably expand a business in that market. So a possibility though in the future that we could scale to it.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Well, I had a question for Mike. You guys sweep the trails and stuff?
Good question. I think at some point we probably do. Anything in particular?
There's just a lot of glass around, in particular hot spots, but there's a lot of glass around, and if we do have some pothole dollars available, there's a lot of humps behind the sanctuary on the trail, on the river.
Some frost boils?
Roots, more not frost, but roots pushing, but it's getting pretty rowdy back there.
Oh, good. Same with glass. That's something that we don't necessarily need to take our large sweeper out. Sometimes just a broom and dustpan is enough if it's isolated that way. So if you know of a few, certainly send me a text or a phone call or an email, and we can take care of that, much sooner even. So.
Good call, Chad. I mean, that for general public too, if you're out riding on the trail and there's a bad spot, definitely call the city to get it taken care of.
We've got, on the website, there's a couple different places where you can just do a simple email. They come to Tom Kloss. Tom forwards them on every morning, so happy to take a look at it. Usually that can be a day
problem.
The report problem, exactly.
Yeah, overall, most of the trail system, it seems, has been weathered winter well, but like behind the sanctuary, definitely that trail's showing some
issues. No, that's good. We'll take a look at that.
Anything else for Mike?
No.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Tim, why don't we start with you tonight?
I have nothing tonight.
Okay. Dave?
Meetings are a little bit slack right now, but they'll pick up toward the end of the month, so we'll have something next time probably.
No, the last.
Pat?
Nothing.
Okay.
I have a couple of things. So at a Parks Board meeting, we kind of had a wrap up talk about the VMF lighting and grandstand project. We got a pickleball court plan for Oddfellows Park so that the group that wants the court down there has a target to do some fundraising. Before they didn't have a target, so they didn't know where it would even go. So that'll be good for those people. we were looking for a new aquatics program manager, and we had some applicants, but the two applicants that we wanted took jobs other places before we could get them in. So we're going to figure it out without one right now with current staff, and then circle back next year for that. And the Lions are going to put in a Gaga ball court in their park over by the rec center. So Dave's gonna sell some donuts or whatever. So good job. We had an EDA meeting. The two big things there is Miles is working on some childcare initiatives to get people into the workforce that are tied up with childcare right now. And we got the $150,000 grant to maybe go forward with the Hotel Jurgensen redevelopment project. So wasn't it, Andy, 150 grand? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exciting, and that's the next step in that to see if we can make that work. So, but otherwise, EDA was kind of quiet. Yeah, that's all I had.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Two things. First off, I know we've talked about strategic planning. We did a planning session last time on housing. We were scheduled to do Park and Rec here on the 26th. We're going to push that back and do housing again. So prior to our next meeting, we'll circle back to the topic of housing. We're going to touch more on tools that are available to the council, and then we're going to share some examples of what some of the other communities are doing to address affordable housing. And it's more or less just kind of showing you, it's not necessarily even the communities, but it's what developers are doing. So we want to share some of those examples, maybe to pique some interest within the community. And I'll actually be sending several different articles out to the council, over the next 2 weeks, just about things that we've seen, just to kind of pique some interest in what's going on in housing throughout the area. Obviously, we're not the only one that's looking or dealing with affordable housing. And then lastly, I sent you guys an email that late this afternoon. It came in, but Representative Fischbach is going to be coming to Hutchinson later this month on March 27th. And they're looking for a time to meet with a couple council members and some staff, just to talk about what's going on. So it's March 10th. It's between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. is the kind of the time they gave me. So if there's a time that works better for you, and if it's something that you're interested in sitting in.
You said March 10th?
March 27th, I'm sorry.
Okay.
March 27th.
I was gonna say, I think Council.
I was looking at the 10 a.m.
We missed it.
So it's March 27th. She's gonna be here they're looking at any time between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. So if there's a time that works for you, let me know, because if there's a significant, obviously if there's a quorum, we're gonna wanna call a special meeting for that. And asking about if there's any specific topics that you'd like to address with the representative. I know there's some things regarding PFAS that we're gonna wanna have a conversation with. I think housing's a big one. So take a look at that, and let me know if you're interested in attending that session, because then we'll look to get, and what times would work for you, because then we'll look to set something up with the representative. So that's it for me.
Why don't we just do a special meeting anyway, because we'll probably, if there's a chance that, we have a quorum.
Yep, and that's something that I can have you sign. We just have to give a 3-day notice.
Okay.
So
Right.
I don't, not knowing the time, it's tough for us to actually set
Right,
that.
yeah. I understand.
And knowing who would be able to make that. So if we have a quorum, we'll officially, the mayor, I'll look to have you call that, then we'll get that posted, at least in advance, so the public knows about it, so.
And strategic planning is at 3?
We had 3:45 on the 26th, yep, we've already set that, so.
Yeah, just make sure the time.
That's it for me otherwise.
All right, well, since Mike took me off the hook with the airport, and actually HRA hasn't met yet, so I have nothing else.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to adjourn. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll say nay. Carries.
Thanks, everyone.